Even as we're making this video, Russia is throwing everything it has in a desperate attempt to break Ukraine's defenses before summer truly begins. And now Russia's facing a ticking clock, as the largest military aid package passed by the United States since World War II has been approved by the U.S. Congress. Russia needs victory now, before American weapons hit the battlefield. But can it win? The focus of Russia's efforts is Chasiv Yar, a Ukrainian stronghold city that's been one of the most important nodes along Kyiv's defenses in the east. The city is just 7.4 miles from Bakhmut, which was captured last May after a year-long fight. For those keeping track, this means that Russia is advancing in Ukraine at a pace of about half a dozen miles a year. Yet, breaking Chasiv Yar could allow Russia to significantly increase its rate of advance. From here, Russian forces could launch assaults against other major Ukrainian defensive points, threatening the integrity of its eastern defenses. Throughout April, Russia's been throwing everything it has against the defenders around Chasiv Yar, with a blistering campaign of artillery, drones, and armor, whittling down the defenders. Despite losing its advantage in artillery fire last year due to supply constraints, the import of North Korean and Iranian weapons has allowed Russia to exploit the West's failure to continue resupplying the Ukrainian army throughout the winter. Now Russia once more enjoys artillery superiority, despite internal reports of North Korean shells showing an estimated 30% failure rate, or having such poor manufacturing standards and non-uniform powder loads that it's dramatically decreased their accuracy compared to their Russian or Western counterparts. Last year, Ukraine had changed its summer counteroffensive strategy into one of attrition, deliberately targeting Russian artillery. The counter-battery campaign was so effective that Russian artillerymen were complaining over social media about the casualties they were taking and the failure of the Russian army to provide its own counter-battery radar and fires. Ukraine was doing an excellent job of blunting Russia's massive artillery superiority. But then things went wrong in a hurry. Europe, which had dedicated itself to providing 1 million artillery rounds in 2023, managed to scrounge up just barely half of that amount. In the U.S., House Speaker Mike Johnson held up Ukraine aid for months. The Ukrainian aid bill had been lumped together with a bipartisan funding deal for badly needed border security along the U.S. border with Mexico. By not allowing a vote on the entire bill, Mike Johnson allowed federal defendant Donald Trump to campaign on the border crisis. The failure by the West to continue supporting the Ukrainian military meant that its successes in neutralizing Russian artillery superiority were quickly reversed, as Russia transitioned into a wartime economy and its own allies dramatically outperformed the West in providing aid. The West, with a combined GDP of over $50 trillion, was completely trounced by the mighty military superpowers of North Korea and Iran, two of the most sanctioned nations in the world, aside from Russia. The drying up of Western aid has led to a winter of slow advances by Russia, whom, despite the staggering losses, has managed to achieve some noticeable victories, such as in the Ukrainian city of Avdiivka, where it had previously been completely humiliated with catastrophic defeats. Yet Russia is also feeling the pinch. Its program to hire convicts in exchange for pardons has started to dry up, and a proclivity to launch meat wave-style assaults has taken a significant toll on the Russian manpower pool. There have been a confirmed 50,000 dead through the use of open-source information, such as counting of new graves in cemeteries, reports from official sources, and social media posts. With no official tally coming from the Russian Ministry of Defense and known efforts to obscure its losses, it's inevitable that the total number of Russian dead is far higher than this figure. The total number of casualties is estimated to be near 500,000 in 2 years of fighting. In order to avoid another draft, which will be deeply unpopular at home, Russia has been dramatically ramping up bonuses and pay for those who enlist, with pay packages equaling to several thousand US for new enlistees. These soldiers are purposefully thrown directly into the front lines where the fighting is the hardest, which saves Russia from having to pay the full enlistment fee, as many end up being killed or wounded. Yet, for the millions of poorer citizens in Russia's rural oblasts, the allure is all but irresistible, with pay packages amounting to several years of what they could expect to earn at home. Russia's efforts have focused on alternating attacks between Limon, Chasiv Yar, and Pokrovsk in a massive campaign that seeks to overwhelm Ukraine's defenders. Previously, Ukraine has successfully defended against such large-scale campaigns, yet that was with U.S. military aid. The drying up of that aid has put the entire Eastern Front in serious jeopardy, as Ukraine is unable to commit resources to all the fronts that desperately need them. In an interview, a Ukrainian artillery officer stated that he needed several dozen shells just to stop a platoon-sized element from advancing, but those shells he no longer has access to. Russia's Zerg Rush strategy is working as it leverages far superior numbers, and Ukraine has been forced to adapt to a lack of support from the West. The nation has ramped up domestic production of FPV drones, which are being used to great effect by both sides in the war. According to Ukrainian sources, they're set to produce over 1 million drones of all types in 2024, including long-range attack drones that have been used to staggering success against Russian infrastructure deep inside Russia itself. These new long-range drones have allowed Ukraine to hit Russia where it hurts the most, its energy infrastructure. Attacks on oil refineries have forced the shutdown of multiple export hubs, even having an impact on the global price of oil, as Russian production is shut down for repairs. Given that Russian refineries relied heavily on Western technology, some of these repairs may not come at all, or the nation will take years to fully restore the damage caused as it develops domestic alternatives. Russia, too, though, is utilizing drones against Ukraine to great success and managed to secure an advantage in FPV drones thanks to a lapse in support by the West. Increasingly, though, Russia's looking to protect its attack waves from the devastating effect of Ukrainian drones, which have been critical to defeating the Russian advances. The nation has been rushing more electronic warfare capabilities to the front and even experimenting with some very novel ideas. It's called the Blyatmobile, a desperate attempt to disrupt Ukrainian drone attacks. Numerous variations on the design have surfaced in the first few months of 2024, but the concept is always the same: a tank covered almost completely in sheet metal or other improvised pieces of armor. The vehicle is completely surrounded except for the front, significantly limiting the effectiveness of drones equipped with anti-tank explosives. The sheet metal armor might not be able to withstand a suicide drone's blast, but it does force the explosive to detonate far away from the tank's armor, making it difficult, if not impossible, for it to penetrate into the body of the tank. The maneuverability of the FPV drones means that the tank is still vulnerable from the front, but Ukrainian reports state it's been challenging to actually strike these vehicles. That's thanks to another innovation by the Russians, the introduction of large electronic warfare arrays mounted on the tanks themselves. Recently, a daring Ukrainian Special Forces operation set out to discover the secrets of this new Russian technology. During an assault, a Blyatmobile had been damaged and forced into a ditch. The crew had abandoned the vehicle before being cut down themselves, yet the tank was stuck in no man's land, where neither side could safely reach it. Ukrainian Special Forces were tasked with a critical mission of recovering the tank's electronic warfare equipment, and the best way to do that was to simply drive the tank back to friendly lines. This required a 2-night operation with a mechanic and a tank driver accompanying the Special Forces soldiers to the tank under the cover of darkness. However, once there, they discovered that the tank needed specialized repairs to get working again, forcing them to return the following night with the right kit. That night, they got the tank running and had to hurry the stolen and damaged vehicle back to the friendly lines while under the fire from Russian artillery after the Russians discovered they were getting grand theft tanked. The operation had been extremely dangerous, but a complete success, and the Ukrainians quickly set to work to peel the improvised armor back and learn the secrets of the new Russian anti-drone technology. What they discovered was that the Russians had simply joined together multiple smaller electronic warfare units into one larger one, and it didn't work particularly well. Despite this, the Blyatmobiles have had some success in neutralizing Ukrainian drone operations. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. More capable electronic warfare platforms have been showing up with increasing frequency, and Ukraine has lacked the precision weapons to destroy them, at least until now, as the massive Ukraine aid bill has officially been passed by the American Congress. The $61 billion bill will provide a massive influx of badly needed aid that's going to have a significant battlefield effect, though this will take weeks to fully materialize. Despite this, there are already reports of pre-staged American weapons in Europe being removed from storage sites in anticipation of the bill passing the final Senate vote on April 23rd. President Biden has also promised that Ukraine will receive badly needed air defense weapons very soon after the passing of the bill, a critical need for the nation in the wake of the loss of multiple Western air defense systems and increasing Russian fires. Russia is now on a ticking clock, hence the ramping up of attacks in anticipation of an influx of American weapons. Historically, U.S. weapons have had an outsized effect against Russian forces, with Russian tankers well remembering the fury of American javelins. HIMARS has been a game-changer in the fight, and the new bill mandates the delivery of more ATACMS missiles, which in their debut several months ago resulted in the destruction of a Russian helicopter base. What exactly Ukraine will be getting is largely unknown for reasons of operational security, though there is an emphasis on air defenses and long-range precision weapons and artillery. Nearly $14 billion of the bill will be used to purchase equipment from other nations for use in Ukraine, and $8 billion will be used to financially support the nation and ensure its government is able to continue operating. The rest of the money will be used to purchase replacements for equipment sent to Ukraine and replenish American stockpiles, an investment into the American economy that allows the nation to resupply its own military with more modern and capable weapons. Chasiv Yar, though, is on the firing line now, and a Bakhmut-style siege of the city is expected to start soon. The Russian army must first surround the city on all sides in order to create multiple avenues of approach into the city and spread out its defenders. This, however, will prove difficult, given that Chasiv Yar is a major forward artillery position for the Ukrainian military. Yet Russia's use of gliding aviation bombs has been extremely successful given Ukraine's lack of air defense equipment and missiles. The fate of the city and Ukraine's entire eastern front may depend on how fast the U.S. can move new air defenses into the nation and replenish its stockpile of air defense missiles. Then there's the introduction of the F-16s into the conflict, which is expected by this summer. How many F-16s or even where they'll fly from remains unknown, and thus their overall impact on the war effort is impossible to predict. Estimates are that Ukraine's set to receive 60 F-16s in 2024, though the U.S. may pledge to supply more. Unlike the Abrams tanks, F-16s may be needed by the United States in a future war with China, making it very unlikely that the U.S. is willing to provide many of its own. It's predicted that Ukraine will utilize its F-16s to fend off Russia's very successful use of glide bombs against Ukrainian positions, rather than undertake offensive operations of its own. As usual, while Russia can produce replacements for its combat losses, Ukraine is wholly dependent on completely unpredictable Western deliveries. This makes it impossible for the nation to commit to an offensive that might yield great rewards but could also produce losses that will not be replaced. Two questions loom over the deployment of the F-16s to Ukraine, though. Where will they fly from, and will they keep their Link 16 systems? The F-16, known as a runway queen, requires a well-maintained runway from which to operate. With Russia's arsenal of ballistic missiles, Ukraine's airfields have been under constant threat since the start of the war, and the nation scored several victories in destroying Ukrainian aviation on the ground. Ukraine has been utilizing highways as improvised airfields with great success, but that's not going to be an option for F-16s. Thus, either the West will have to provide significant air defense resources to protect Ukrainian bases, or allow a more controversial option: the use of NATO airfields safely out of the line of fire. Russia is so threatened by the second option that it's vowed to attack any NATO airfield that hosts Ukrainian F-16s. These threats rank very high on the fuck around and find out scale. And given how badly Russia is performing against a Ukrainian military that is overextended and undersupplied, it's unlikely Russia also wants to pick a fight with the literal heavyweight military champion of the world. And yet, these threats have been effective before in causing the West to self-deter from providing the type and scale of aid Ukraine needs. The Link 16 question could also be significant in determining the effectiveness of Ukraine's F-16s. The Secure Communications Link is standard across NATO and would allow Ukraine's aircraft to speak directly to NATO assets, including AWACS and surveillance drones that routinely fly around the boundaries of the conflict. In effect, with Link 16 active, a Ukrainian F-16 could fire on Russian aircraft from the safety of friendly skies, and that missile would be guided to its target by a NATO asset. This would dramatically improve the effectiveness of Ukraine's F-16s, given that they're all older and less capable models, some of which are old enough to actually have avionics outclassed by modern Russian fighters. As Russia races against time, the fate of Chasiv Yar and the overall eastern defense might hang on just how fast the US aid can reach Ukrainian fighters. Now check out why France is ready for war against Russia, or click this other video instead.